So Kevin Zhan was the head of people analytics previously at IBM and then at Kyndryl. He's now the head of people analytics and HR strategy at Bunge. And Kevin's going to talk about how we can transform HR with analytics and AI and share insights from his journey in those organizations as well. So a big round of applause for Kevin. If you do have questions, the app isn't working, so we'll do questions traditionally at the end. I'll come back on stage and you can put your hand up. Okay? The app's working, the machine isn't, so I can't see the questions. Okay, up to you, Kevin.
Testing. Am I still echoing? My voice? No? Echo. All right, well, good morning, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well today. So I don't have a mentee. I'm not that fancy, so we're going to do this the old traditional way by doing show of hands or either standing up. So one of the things I really love about people analytics is I've been in this industry for probably about 20 years or so. And I remember when I first started 20 years ago, people analytics was very elementary. There weren't that many people in people analytics. And I remember the first conference I went to, I spoke at, it was about 15 years ago. There was this size that we see here is all the participants in that conference. So we have definitely evolved from then. And one of the things I really loved early on is in the community of people analytics practitioners is like none other. Because people here, we love to share best use cases. We love to share stories. We love to give examples of how we've been doing people analytics in our own companies. And one additional things I really love about it is we can always reach out to someone else and they are always willing to lend a hand and to help you with your own company strategy. So having said that, by a show of hands, how many of you, this is the first people analytics conference you've been at? All right, now show of hands, how many of you, this is the third, at least you've been to at least 3 people analytics conferences? Wow, okay, how about at least 5 people analytics conferences? All right, so you guys are the serial conference goers. All right, now, if you guys can, so I know we just had a little bit of break, but I'm gonna be talking for the next 30 minutes. And my kids, I have 3 little ones, they tend to think, hey, Daddy, you talk too much. So in order to not bore all of you, as I sometimes bore my kids, let's stand up a little bit, okay? So if you have been in people analytics, for at least a year, please stand up in the field of people analytics. So you've been working in the people analytics team. All right. So remain standing if you've been in the field of people analytics for at least 5 years. All right. Now, remain standing if you've been in the field of people analytics for 7 years. 10 years. Wow. All right. So for those of you guys are sitting now, look around you or look to your left and look to the right or look behind you. These are the folks, our seasoned people analytics veterans. So if you have questions after this session, after I give you guys, my session, if there's any points that you need clarification on, don't come to me, come to all of them, okay? So I count on all of you guys to try to explain and help the rest of the people here. All right, thank you. You guys can all sit down. All right, so we're going to go straight here. So in terms of a little bit about me and kind of where I came from, I feel like I've been really lucky and honored in terms of my career. So I started out doing management consulting. So I know one of our diamond partners here is Deloitte. So I was with Deloitte and PricewaterhouseCoopers. But after I left consulting, I really started building my own people analytics teams. So I built it for a small company. It was about 5,000 people, called Advisory Board. That was in healthcare. Then I built it at Allergan, which is it's a pharma company. They're the makers of Botox, in case you guys haven't heard about Allergan. And then they unfortunately got bought out by AbbVie, which I know there are some people in AbbVie here. So, great to you guys, but boo from my perspective. But then I left there and also I started a people analytics team for a company called Kyndryl. So they're about 90,000 employees and they're a spin-off company from IBM. And then I ran a mature people analytics function. So at IBM, when we joined there, IBM 350,000 employees globally. At the time, we had about 120, 130 people analytics practitioners at IBM. And there, it was great because for the first time in my career, I didn't have to build things from scratch. I inherited a team that was very in the end life cycle of people analytics, where we had AI models, we had different technology tools, and we essentially embedded AI within every single employee life cycle in HR. So I got to see and manage how that worked and how that functions. So some of you guys may think now, like, gosh, you've been to a lot of companies. What is up with that? Well, the thing is, unfortunately, a lot of these companies, whatever company I joined, they ended up getting bought out or divested in the case of Kyndryl. So apparently, if you are part of a company where your CEO wants to get bought out, you should hire me. And that was bound to happen. But now I've been with Bunge, so I joined Bunge about a year and a half ago. So many of you, probably there's only 3 of you in this room that probably have heard of Bunge. Well, one thing I'll kind of give you a background about Bunge. So Bunge, we're one of the world's largest agribusiness companies. So we provide fuel, feed, food, and farmers. So we provide support to all of those 4 Fs. So essentially what we do is if you guys have soybeans, you have corn, you hear all of those, soy is in everywhere. And that's us as a company, that's what we ultimately manufacture. So we work with the farmers to buy their products, we produce it and crush it to turn into other types of products that other companies, food companies would use. So for Bunge overall, we're about $60 billion in annual revenue, and we have about 23,000 employees worldwide. Currently, we are in the process of another acquisition. So finally, I'm sitting on the other side doing the acquisitions instead of being acquired. And we're merging with a company called Viterra, and hopefully we'll close that sometime this year. But with that, we'll be about a $100 billion company and about 40,000 employees worldwide. So within Bunge, I lead our HR strategy and insights function. And I think this is a really good role in terms of it leverages all of the experience and things I've gathered from all of my previous companies. And this is a role that I think a lot of you in this room and people analytics leaders, I'll say for myself, I've been in people analytics before, this is a role that I think people analytics our ultimate leaders ultimately grow to be and advance to be. So now HR strategy insights function now do definitely roll up into our CHRO. Essentially, is I think David has alluded to in the beginning, it's kind of like your CHRO's number 2 person. That's kind of what my function is. And you're right, I don't want to be a CHRO. But nonetheless, it's great because I consider myself to kind of be like behind the scenes, the puppet master to say, hey, we need to do this and this, and to have everyone else go and execute. All right, so diving right in here, how to transform HR. So one of the things we have to acknowledge is HR and people analytics is changing. So on the old one, the old approach, I'll say this is probably in the last 10 to 15 years, and currently kind of how we are at right now. So MacGyver approach, I call this MacGyver. So how many of you know who MacGyver is? Great, you guys are, the ones that actually understand good television before the day and age that we're in now. So one of the things about MacGyver approach and why I call it that is MacGyver, in case for some of you guys who've never heard of MacGyver before, never seen the show, highly encourage you to go watch it. But one of the things about MacGyver is he is a person that is very adaptable, very resourceful, and very improvisational. Okay, and that approach, those 3 things, is the old way of people analytics. And what I mean by that, a lot of times in the last 10 years or so, people analytics, we didn't have tools. We didn't have massive technology solutions. So what do people analytics team have to do? We have to create our own. Right? We have to create individualized solutions. We have to create individualized case studies. We had to create data engineers, data scientists to build everything from scratch. Right? And many of you guys might be experiencing that today. You look at a problem that you get from your business and you say, hey, how do I solve this? And you say, oh, I need a data scientist to build this. I need a data engineer then to help connect all of these different data points together. And then I might need another UX, UI person to help build a BI solution or a UI solution on top of it to be able to help deliver this solution. I call that as the old way of doing it because the new way that we have today with Gen AI, with AI as well, there are a lot of technology ecosystems that exist right now where I think what I see the trend is for people analytics professionals, we have to move away from building our own customized solutions and move more into operating within the technology ecosystem. Okay? And one of the things how that matters for all of you is for you to think about is, and David, forgive me, I'm going to have to disagree with you a little bit before. You had a chart, right, that said the people analytics pipeline with the colorful, all I remember was the green colors, the orange colors on the left side and the right side, right? In there was data scientists and data engineers. So I think many of you, and I'll tell you, I had this, are thinking about, hey, I need to build a data scientist team. I need to build a data engineering team. And I'll tell you, I've had those. At IBM, we had a team of probably 10 different data scientists. We had, a team of different data engineers. And I take a step back now, and when I look at the tech landscape in HR, if I were to do it over again, I would not do that. I would not have a team of data scientists or data engineers. Because the danger of that is if you build your own custom solutions, you're going to be detached from the technology stack that your organization already invested in. And like it or not, the technology stack that your company has, so whether it be your HRIS system, is Workday or SAP, that's where the majority of the company is operating in, and they want to operate there. If you build your own custom solutions, it's going to be outside of that, and you don't want to divert people's attention away from that. Okay? And what that means for all of you in terms of your teams is you should begin to not focus so much on building a team of data scientists and data engineers and looking for those skills, but instead look for skills around, hey, what skills do I need for my employees so they know how to function in the tech stack? What skills do I need so then for them to be able to create analytic solutions within that technology ecosystem? So skills are different, and your team composition will be different. And we have to start thinking about that, because one of the things we may not have thought about is in our new way of doing things, you have to have product management. You have to focus on product management more. Because like it or not, those technology solutions, the capabilities, the functionalities that they have is so much better than where it was 5, 10 years ago. And it will be so much better for you versus creating your own solution. Okay? All right. Now, the other thing I want you guys to think about is, as well, there's 5 guiding principles that I like to use in terms of how do you transform HR using data and AI. And these 5 principles, I'll show you guys about 2 or 3 different case studies, but these 5 principles can apply to any analytics projects. Okay? So first one, know your true client. Know who your true customer is. And I'll give you a hint right now. It's not the business. A lot of us, and a lot of in conferences, you'll hear people say, hey, you're focused on the business. It's focused on the business. I agree with that, totally, but that is not your customer, because your customer is really through HR business partners that can reach to the business. Because like it or not, your people analytics, we're not directly connected with the business leaders because we can't. It's not scalable that way. We don't have that much time. We don't have that many resources, right, to be able to directly interface with the business at the level that HR business partners can on a day-to-day basis. Okay, one of the things, this was really profounding thought for me. When I first joined left consulting, I was always thinking, okay, my client, my customer, I deliver services to them. So when I first started running people analytics team, that was my mindset. I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to stand in front of the business. I forget about HR business partners. I don't really care about them because they don't really understand data, right? Let me go in front of my business leader, tell them where their trends are, tell them where the workforce is going to be in 1, 2, 3 years from now, and what they should do about it. I failed miserably. Okay, and when I first started that, not only did I have to fight in terms of introducing myself and convincing business leaders why they should talk to me, what people analytics is, right? But I also had to fight with our HR business partners. At that time, they're like, well, Kevin, why are you going to my business leader? I'm their HR business partner. I'm their partner. You have to come to me, right? And that was a hard lesson that I had to learn early on in my career. And from that point forward, it really helped me to pivot my approach to people analytics and to clients. So one of the things that we have now, and I encourage you guys to think about it, we have analytics partners, an analytics team. And their job is to partner with the HR business partners. Okay, their role is to enable HR business partners to be able to deliver data-driven insights and actions to the business. Know who your client is, okay? The second point, avoid creating analytic solutions in search of a problem. Instead, dude, it should be the inverse of that. One of the things, is there any people from IBM in here? Good, so I can say this. One of the challenges that I saw when I was at IBM, when I first inherited is, the people at IBM are brilliant, right? And the teams are also really, really smart. But I think one of the things I always say is, analytics professionals, we tend to have a failure point. One of our weaknesses is we tend to think that analytics, whatever solution that we create in analytics, is the best thing ever. And everyone will want to love it. I'll call that the analytics bias. Right? How many of you feel that sometimes? Don't lie. I know most of you guys do. So anyway, but that's also the case. I saw a lot, the mistake we made at IBM sometimes. We were so infatuated with our knowledge, with a new machine learning model that we have, or new technology solution. We're like, hey, we have graph theory. Let's see if we can leverage graph theory to look at how people behave, how people work together, and then let's create something with it. So we got so enamored with that. And then at the end of it, we're like, hey, who wants to use this new model that we built? Nobody did. And then it was even worse because then we started measuring these measuring analytics solutions based on adoption rates. We started looking at, okay, how many people have adopted my analytics solution, right? And maybe some of you may use adoption rates today for even your analytics solutions. That's the wrong way of doing it. I encourage you guys not measure it that way. Your measuring point around how successful your analytics program is from the customer, the client, which is HR business partners or the HR COEs, right? Well, you guys need to start pivoting instead of asking about adoption rates and measuring how many people have used this dashboard, how many people have accessed this report that I've created. Instead of looking at that, I encourage you guys on a quarterly or annual basis, survey your customers, ask them. Right? Ask them like, hey, are you getting the insights that you need from me to support your business leaders? Would you recommend our analytics team to your peer or to someone else? Right? Those are the right metrics to use to evaluate the success of your analytics program. The third point, tech and AI help you scale a solution is not there to help you create the solution. And what I mean create means from the starting point, right? It's not a starting point to say, hey, I'm going to use this BI solution or I'm going to use this machine learning model to help me to create and design a solution that I can ultimately roll out to my clients or to the business. That is not the intent. That will help you use those technology to help you scale the delivery of your solution. So let me give you an example of this. One of the things we used to do before is, IBM is I'll tell you about the case that we use, is creating a way to help scale succession planning for our executive leaders. Okay, we have about 4,000, 4,000 to 5,000 executives that we have to do succession planning for. So if you guys are talent professional for your company, have done succession planning before, I know your mouth probably is dropping. They're saying like 4,000 to 5,000, that's a lot. And I tell you, it is a lot. But for that problem that we had to do, we had to figure out what is a scalable way to do so, right? So in order to do that, we didn't jump straight into technology. We didn't say, okay, let's see, what BI solutions there or what AI model can we do to help make this easier. What we did there is we started from the basics. We started looking at, okay, what things do we have to understand? What things do we measure? What things are metrics of success for executive? What are the different data points that we need to look at? What are the things that other outside HR data sources we had to look at as well? We start understanding those first, and then we do an analysis literally in Excel to analyze all those data points to see what kind of output it gave us. And after we did that, then we leverage AI to build a model, to train the AI model. Then after we build the AI model, we develop a UI solution to be able to scale the delivery of that solution, right? Never you leverage AI and tech as a starting point, okay? That should be the middle after you've done the analysis. the fourth point is eliminate data silos. This is really, really critical. As HR professionals, you're in HR in general, okay? So HR, we have so many data silos in HR. Compensation team, if you're in comp team, I'm sorry, but you're a data silo. You're a silo team. You have your own comp data, and kind of just it. You have your salary benchmarking surveys, you have maybe another benchmark, you have multiple different benchmarking surveys, and that is your data silo. You're kind of married to it and you love it, right? TA, you have your just recruiting insights. Those are your data silos. You might have a different ATS that's separate from your tech stack, right? Your HR core HRIS, that's a data silo. As people analytics professionals, one of the things I say is you can't have insights unless you have integrated data. Okay, you can't drive actions until you have those integrated insights from data that spans multiple different places. So your role as an HR people analytics professional is eliminate the data silos where possible. Actually, everywhere is possible, I'll tell you that. Okay, it's your job to bridge all the core HR data silos with other non-HR related data like marketing, sales data, finance data, performance data. That's your role to do, and that's a power that you can bring to a business. And lastly, this is something I always say to our people analytics teams. People analytics, and I encourage you guys to do this as well. We are not in the business of curiosities. We're in the business of delivering actionable insights. A lot of times when HR business partners, so we roll out when you roll out a people analytics team, once you start introducing some data points to the HR, what happens? They come back for more, right? When you may first start, your thing is like, oh, nobody's coming to us, nobody's asking for things. And then once you start delivering solutions, your mindset shifts. You're like, hey, too many people are coming to me, right? And one of the things here to really help level that expectation that I have set with a lot of HR business partners I've worked with across all different companies is this line. I tell them, guys, I don't care about you coming to me to say, hey, I wonder if ... I don't care about that. Like, my job is not to fill your curiosity. My job is to help understand what is the problem that you have and how can I help you solve it. And lean on me as a people analytics professional to tell you what data points will help you answer your question instead of the reverse. Instead of you telling me I need a turnover data, I need headcount data, I need trend data, I need this and that. No, leave it to us, the professional, to do so. Okay? So these are the 5 guiding principles. So now I'll kind of walk you through practical examples. I hope I have time, because unfortunately I have 30 minutes, and I think I'm going to try to spend as much time I can for these practical examples. But if I don't, find me afterwards, and I'd be happy to walk you guys through things. All right. So succession planning. So I spoke about it a little bit already. Okay. So again, the problem we're trying to solve is a scalable way to deliver and provide insights and recommendations to our HR business partners on who are possible successors. And one of the key things here, once you identify successors, the most important thing for talent planning or succession is developing a talent plan. Developing a plan to say, okay, we're going to do this X, Y, and Z for this executive, for this employee, right? Those are super, super manual processes that I think a lot of companies do today. So at IBM, we try to automate this, and I think we did a good job in doing so. And the way that we approached it, as I already mentioned it before, is we first created what we call Executive Success Framework. This project, we actually codenamed the Hidden Figures project. How many of you guys have actually watched the movie Hidden Figures? Good. If those of you have not, encourage you guys to watch that on your plane ride home. But with the Hidden Figures, essentially what that is, and just really about a movie, it's about these NASA engineers that were black, right? And they were kind of frowned upon. They were not really, not really considered to be equal with the other NASA engineers and scientists. But the movie, what ended up happening is these engineers that might have been overlooked, they were truly the brilliant scientists and geniuses that allowed NASA to achieve their success and allowed them to achieve their strategic goals. And what we wanted to do is we thought, hey, look, there's a lot of bias in succession planning. If we think about it, succession planning is really about who do I know and who have I worked with, right? And what we want to do is how do we implement a data-driven way to uncover these hidden figures in the organization who may not have worked with a senior executive, may not have been known by someone else, but they have the skills, aptitude, and performance that they need to be successful for the future. So we call that executive success framework. I won't go deep into it because it'll probably be another 30 minutes I can talk about this. But nonetheless, what this executive success framework is understanding and measuring what are those true things and qualities that make an executive an executive. And then applying those metrics and qualities to the rest of our organization via different data points. So we extracted all of those data points, we put it together, we analyzed it, and then we built a model around it. And for our model, what we built, essentially out of 5,000 different executives, we had to find successors for all 5,000. Okay? Then we were able to apply it to about 20,000 to 30,000 employees. And from that, we were able to understand who were the ones with best quality to be a future leader. So from those initial data gathering, data analysis, building an AI model, then from that, we created a BI solution. And this BI solution basically was a place to house all of our analysis, all of our model, as well as provide a front-end interface that talent planners or HR business partners can go in and plan their successors. So that is going back to, okay, sorry, I can't go back in my slides. But going back to the 5 principles, those are meta principles. We knew who our client is. We didn't go directly to business. We went to HR business partners. They were our main clients, right? We did not leverage an AI solution or technology solution as a starting point. That was the end point. We used it to scale, okay? And lastly, the thing, what's really important here as well is we have to focus on eliminating data silos. For our executive success framework, we pulled not just HRIS data, we pulled in performance data, we did other assessment-related data like Korn Ferry, SHL. We pulled together so many different data streams together to create this solution. Next practical example. All right, perfect. Next one is comp planning for global workforce. How many of you in people analytics have been involved in comp planning today? Okay, some of you, good. So as I said before, for total rewards or compensation teams, they are a data silo, right? They have their key sources of information, and they leverage those key sources of information to make merit recommendations, to provide insights to the overall company, right? Because they will use those salary surveys when doing merit planning, and they'll go to CHRO or go to our CEO and to say, hey, we see the market is moving X, Y, and Z. And therefore, in terms of our merit budget, we need to increase 5 percentage points or 1%, whatever the case may be, right? And then once that's done, then managers kind of go in, get their budget, and start doing planning. Well, one of the things that we wanted to do, and we recognize as a challenge, is if you're a manager and you explain to your employee, hey, you got a 4% increase. A lot of times your employee is saying, like, why did I get a 4% out of 5% or 6% or 7%? Right? Sometimes we say, oh, well, your performance, you gotta meets expectations, and that's why you got a 5. If you gotta exceed, then you get an 8. That's all we have to explain that to the employee. But the reality is we have a wealth of data information we can use to explain that to the employee because our comp planning team, our comp team does that today. They will be able to, the way they explain it, they'll say, hey, look, for a data science role, making it up, data science role today was $100,000. But we see the market trending to 120 or 130, or at the 10%, 100% level, right? It's this amount. At the 75%, it's this amount. They have so much wealth of information there. But because they're a data silo, they're not able to scale the delivery of those insights to the rest of the organization. So that's a problem that we started to tackle at IBM as well. We call it something called CompaPay. So within CompaPay, we essentially use what the comp team has already done, right? We looked at the data sources that they use. We looked at their methodology and their approach. We use all of those, and simply we put it into an analytic solution. We put that into a model. And once we put that into a model, in here, we actually leverage our existing HRIS system to build a model to be able to, build a module to be able to explain that model to employees. So what we had is comp planning time. We actually provided managers with insights to say, hey, your employee that's in this job role, let's just say data scientist, they should get about an 8% to 11% bump because the market is trending that way. And then the manager can make that decision. So in the end, when an employee comes, you give them an 8%, 9%, and the employee saying, why did I get that? The manager can explain it. That was around scaling the delivery of insights and data that was already done, but we're doing that at much bigger scale. And last thing I'll do, apologies, I'm going to skip ahead because I won't have time here. But one thing, I'll give you a quick story here. So Elmer Glue. So the reason why I brought this up is actually about a week ago. So I have 3 kids, 3 girls. Okay, so I'm a girl dad, and I'll be well taken care of when I get old. But one of the things, our youngest, she's 4, so she's in pre-K right now. So about a week ago, she came home and she gave me a piece of paper, right? And it was one of her art projects. And she was very proud. She's like, Daddy, look what I made. And on that piece of paper, it was a leaf, it was some doodles, it was some cut up paper, it was also some stickers, it was also some furry little ball things that they have. They're all together. I was like, Zia, that was her name. I was like, Zia, what is this? I was like, these things don't belong together. She's like, yes, it does. I glued it. And she can't say glue, so she said, I glued it. And then when I thought about that and how it applies to us, I was like, you know what? In the same way, I was like, agree. Okay, I got it, Zia. You glue all these things together, and then it makes sense. Whereas people analytics professionals, you are the glue. Okay, you are the glue that connects all facets of HR, right? All facets of HR, all different data HR teams, they're in their little silos. They are in that silo. It's your job. You have the ability to connect the comp team with the TA team, with the TA team, with the HRBPs, which HRBPs and the talent management team. You can connect all of them by telling the story of how the data in their own different parts relate with each other. You are able to connect the tech strategy with their HR strategy because more and more technology solutions is all focused about data and AI, right? That's becoming the big thing now. And you are sitting in a critical place where you are. You're the only one that speaks that language. It's not the HRIS technology team. They're focused on system infrastructure. You are focused on delivering the solutions and insights from that system. Okay, so you are the ability strategically able to connect both teams together. And then lastly, you are the glue that are able to bring integrated insights together because you can break down data silos. You are the one, not finance team, not any other HR team, not marketing team. It's you because you have employee data. You can say for our marketer that sales, this is their sales. This is how their impact on revenue or on your budget, and this is our impact on their skills, their growth, their development, their pay. You're the only one that's uniquely qualified and capable of being able to do so. So the last message I'll leave you guys with and a challenge is go and be the glue or the goo, as my Zia will say. Okay? So with that said, I think I'll turn over to questions, but thank you guys so much. If you have any questions, feel free to come and ask.
I think we've got time for maybe one question, maybe 2 if it's quick. So again, if you put your hands up, there's people running around with the microphones there. There's a question at the back there. So if you can say your name and what organization you're representing, I think that's always helpful in context as well.
Hi, everybody. My name is Scott Rogers. I'm ex-Thermo Fisher Scientific. I was wondering if I could ask you to quickly riff on what at its face seems like a paradox between breaking down data silos but avoiding custom solutions.
Good question. So breaking down data silos, in order to do that, you got to think about the technology stack that you have. So within a technology stack, I'll give you an example. So SAP Workday, you guys all know Workday is spanning. There's Workday Finance as well. There's going to be Workday Sales. You can break down those data silos within your tech stack. Same thing for SAP, same thing, right? I encourage you guys to do that versus trying to create a separate data silo to say, okay, I need to combine this data with that. So it's really working with your business technology team or your IT team to say, hey, what is that future-looking strategy, enterprise solution for ERP solution for us, and how would those data silos be bridged? If it can't be bridged right now, it's much better for you to actually wait than to create that solution yourself, because you're going to find that that's going to be a throwaway cost for you to bring your own data silos and your own data warehouse, when inevitably in a year from now you're going to have all of those.
Okay. If there's another quick question, we can probably squeeze one more in.
And if you didn't get to answer your question, I hope you remember those that stood up on your left or right. You can ask them.
Yeah, there's lots of people to go to.
Yeah.
Kevin, thank you very much.